the civil guard broke into my house. This was the time after the dictatorship, and still the civil guard hadn't gotten the message that we were trying to work on a democracy in Spain. And they had come because someone complained my grandfather read books, and he owned books. And he dared do one terrible thing. He read the Bible to us kids without the priest there to tell us what we should think. When you walked into the house, on this side of the wall, it was a very tight entry, there was a painting of a cow. The ugliest painting of an ugliest cow you could ever imagine. It was uglier than this one. I looked for an old picture so none of you painted it. Behind the ugly cow, there was a hole on the wall, and in that hole, my grandfather kept all the forbidden books. The Bible, the Communist Manifesto, etc. And when the civil guard came in, I wanted to be this brave, tough little kid that saved my family. But my eyes were glued to the painting, and I couldn't look away. And the whole time, my grandfather looked at me with a smile on his face. He was just perfectly calm, and I was panicking inside, thinking, I'm getting us all killed, look away, you idiot! But I couldn't look away from the ugly cow. The civil guard comes in, and I'm not sure he planned this, but as I look up at him, his machine gun was pointing right here to my little thumb. This was slanted on the side. Okay, so now I'm panicking more. I can look at the cow less, right? I'm basically drinking this cow with my eyes. Civil guard notices, follows my eyes, looks at the cow, and goes, ah! And keeps walking in the house, and my grandfather says, see, best hiding place ever. Since I was very small, books have been very, very important to me. Books and stories and, all the counsel that they hide. Even my ship. There you are. When I was very small also, by now people are not picking me up anymore, my mom got very sick. And as the oldest girl child in my family, in an old-fashioned world, it was my job to take care of her. So one day, the ocean was full with jellyfish. This was awesome. The children would get 25 cents for every jellyfish you caught, and after that, it was ice cream fun, right? But I had to stay home. I wasn't happy. Except for, there was a book on my father's side of the table, and I grabbed it. At first, it wasn't very compelling. It just had a ship. I figured, I can afford a book. And I sat outside waiting, just in case my mother needed to call me for anything. And I looked up. My patio faced the ocean. A huge lighthouse on one side, and just the open ocean on the side. And there she was. The biggest ship I've seen my entire life. It looked like a building. And the book on my lap was open to this page. I'm throwing some Spanish at you. It's gonna be fine, okay? Con 10 cañones por banda, viento en popa a toda vela. No corta el mar, sino vuela un velero bergantín. Bajé el pirata que llaman por su bravura el temido, en todo el mar conocido, del uno al otro confín. This was a poem about this beautiful pirate ship who did not cut the sea, it flew. And because of his bravery, everyone called it the fear. If you ever find me walking through dock or waiting for someone, our principal is coming to a meeting, and I'm there just waiting. You can bet that poem dances in my head. It taught me how to wait. So when I'm waiting, I'm never in a bad mood, because I can see my ship. And my ship told me that I wanted to travel and see the world, and what I saw on the page was not enough. So as my students know, I have been in every continent, and I can tell you the South Pole smells really bad. Pass the page, please. Why am I telling you about books? Okay, so we have a multicultural school, and we should know tomorrow is the International Day of the Book. It's always celebrated on April 23rd. It starts in Spain. Originally, we were thinking, well, Cervantes died on this date, right? And Cervantes is the writer of Don Quixote. We'll talk about him a little bit more. And eventually the UN, through UNESCO, adopted the celebration and now it's celebrated worldwide. That's the beach. On this day, coincidentally, also Shakespeare dies, as well as a man you may not have heard about. He's a writer in Americas. He's an Inca man. He's called Garcilaso de la Vega. Not to be confused with another writer in Spain, who's a Spaniard called Garcilaso de la Vega. Also, they were cousins, but so we can tell them apart. We call him El Inca. And ever since the beginning of the century, we have been extending the celebration worldwide. Next page. Okay. So, there are many countries, many cities who have become the capital, the world book capital every year. Has anyone heard of this before? Awesome. It was close to you in Colombia, right? The call for 2018 is out. Applications are going to be sent in, and every year a different place. The first one was in 2001, I believe, and it was in Madrid. Does this matter? Yes, it matters a lot. Now, this is my favorite character from literature. Okay, sure, there is a reading that he goes and he dreams the impossible dream. There's a Broadway play about him. That's great. There is an adjective that has entered the language, even here in English, that comes from this character. When you say something is quixotic, right? It's great, like, it's a dream, like, you don't care about reality, you're gonna go for it. It's kind of how I live my life. Don Quixote and his companion Sancho Panza, Quixote riding his horse Rocinante, they go in a series of adventures, and that is what most people know. But what the book is also is a very serious critique of Spain at that time. And writing the book was quixotic in itself. In fact, while Shakespeare was sitting around writing, there's a little bit to the writer, Cervantes had fought a war, lost an arm, got kidnapped by pirates, then go to prison in Spain. He was living it, right? And so he knew the things in Spain that were broken. And he speaks against it in a sort of fantastical way, at a time when the Inquisition had a lot of power. Okay? And apparently they did not understand metaphor, so he was okay. So Don Quixote says in his book, he who reads much and walks much goes far and knows much. Simple, but man, that's great. Pass the page, please. Yes, for many of us, reading is the beginning of an adventure. This is one of mine. When I was studying to be a linguist and teach robots how to speak, that was my first job, I used to gift to myself with finding a book that no one was making me read. You'll get this when you get to college. And so I went to the bookstore after my very last final exam, and I found this book, The Conquest of America by Tibetan Tudor. Until the moment I cracked this book open, this was my idea of the conquest of America. We civilized it, right? I grew up in Spain. We brought Christianity. We rock. We were the flagship of the Catholic Church. Look what we've done. And then I read, and I cried, and I read, and I cried. In the name of the God I love, people were hanged in sets of 13 to represent the 12 apostles and Jesus. And all of a sudden my world changed. And I was reading this book in a Native American reservation up in Montana when one of the elders said, "Why don't you become a bridge?" And I asked, literally? And she just, right? I can say stupid things. She says, no, you speak a lot of languages. If you are opening up to a real history, and your people, my people in the Canary Islands, are the indigenous people of the islands. I'm not really a Spaniard, I'm not much. And so I start talking about it, and I start telling us the perception of indigenous people, their stories, make it known. So I did. My first essay, published by the University of Chicago Press, talked about pirates. And the fact that indigenous people didn't care if it was the Spaniards coming with their big plantations of the pirates coming, they just wanted them all to stop it, right? It took a long time researching on the archives, reading really old things that wanted to fall apart on my lap. And this all much we don't do. And then I was reading, and Peter Pan comes out of the page and looks right at me and says, Bella, in a voice that no woman has ever yet been able to resist, including me, one girl is more used than 20 boys. And so, I got my PhD at Duke University. And I gotta say, I'm a little proud of that because I had no parents or family, right? You can feel this kind sometimes. All right, have a debate. Don't let anyone tell you you can't do. Just go. Books form us. They give us guidelines. They get us through tough times. They're dependable friends every time you grab it. There it is, right? Making mistakes, teaching you what to do. This is one of my favorite quotes. My idea of good company is a company of clever, well-informed people who have a great deal of conversation. That is what I call good company. You're mistaken, he said gently. That is not good company. That is the best. Pass the page, please. A few years ago, I was told I had cancer and I had 4 years to live. As I told you before, I had no family. I had my daughter and she was very small. This is like 10, 12 years ago. It's been more than 4 years. And I was reading The Lord of the Rings. I remember when Gandalf stopped, and Frodo stopped, and they turned to me. And they said, I wish it did not have happened in my time. So do I, and so do all who need to see such times. But that is not for them to decide. All we have to decide is what to do with the time that is given us. So I fought, because that's me. And then I figured out who in the hospital was dying with a family. And I walked with them until they died. My friend Jimmy died a little while after I read this to him. It was one of the most touching moments in my life. He had lost so much weight from colon cancer, he could hardly move. I had plastered his ceiling with pictures of all his friends and co-workers because he could only look up. He swung his arm. I looked at him wondering what he wanted. He swung his arm again. I did not know what he wanted still. I wanted to fix it. What is it that I should do for you? He swung his arm one more time and ended up hugging me. And then he died. My friend. I did not know him until I found out he was dying of cancer. That's what I decided to do because Gandalf told me I could. That's the thing. So, how do we celebrate the International Day of the Book? Reading marathons. Those are fun. Form a book club. Idea. Make a book or write a book. Some of you, my writers here that share your work with me, thank you. You can do it with paper and glue. I'll show you some in a minute. If you can just start gluing quotes that you like on an empty notebook. Buy a book. Rescue a book. Do that. Explore the library. Do a scavenger hunt with a book reward. Read to someone who can't read. Be your favorite character. Share a quote or hug a book. How do I celebrate? Pass the page, please. All right, everyone home. I tend to get a book and I wrap it on the most lovely wrapping paper. And then I find a park or a place where people go to walk and think or pray. And I leave it there with a note that says, this book is for you. If you find it, take it. My daughter and I read to each other. She's awesome with accents. Me too, this one. We make tiny little books. We sit watching TV and we fold paper. And then we donate them to little girls so they can put them on their dollhouses. Or in the dollhouses, right? And then, I take her to places where books were produced. This is one of my favorite, okay? This man here in the statue, that's Karina. By now you know I put her in every presentation, right? Both of them. His name is Francisco de Vitoria. He taught at the University of Salamanca in Spain. And he was one of the first people to write what we call today the base for international law, to protect the rights of indigenous people, at a time where this was a really big chance to take. We do not have one word from him. His students wrote everything he said and saved it. Yes, students. It's better than recording your stuff, right? Halloween feast. My daughter ate all the goods that you could see at the table during the Halloween feast. And we hang pumpkins in the sky and put fake candles up on them. So you look just like the movie, sort of, right? Pretty much. We even dressed up our dog as one of the teachers. Also, we can honor the writers from other countries. We have international students. So I have a few slides. Thank you guys for sending this to me, all the international students who helped. So please pass the page. These are some books that were recommended to us from South Korea. And if anyone is more interested to know the titles, etc., just come to see me. You know where I am. Next one, please. One of our students from South Korea was lovely. She got permission to have the calligraphy so that we could show it here in class and put one of her favorite quotes down. Even though she translated it for us too. Even though you bring up water to 99, it never boils. If it doesn't reach one more degree, the one last degree makes the water boil. That is what you need to endure to open the next door. Next one, please. These are some of the books recommended from China, and a quote from one of them. As the heart's nature is cultivated, the great way arises. One more, please. We have some more books here, Latvia and Colombia. It is not true that people stop pursuing dreams because they grow old. They grow old because they stop pursuing dreams. Next one, please. Some of the books that I got from Albania and Lithuania. Next. It should matter to us too because we are special people. We're people of the book, right? Through the book, the Bible that keeps us company, we also access the wisdom of God. So another thing to do, give a Bible to a friend who needs one. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. I never understood when people say, what is that English say? Stick and stones can't turn your kitchen. Yeah, but first time, say, oh, thank you. Words are important, I mean, come on. Right, super important. They are formative, right? Put them together into a book, they can change your life. I will leave you with the last slide, you can pass it. And thank you so much for listening to me. Celebrate the Day of the Book officially tomorrow.
Thank you so much for sharing that with us. Well, we get 5 minutes.